Take a breath with me for a second and consider something strange. Every human being wakes up into a world they did not design. Weather changes, people disappoint, plans fall apart, life releases its arrows without asking permission. And yet, most of our suffering does not come from what strikes us. It comes from what the mind does next, and the arguments we replay, the meanings we invent, the quiet ways we turn moments into wounds. Some mornings feel heavy before they even begin. Nothing terrible has happened, and yet the mind is already carrying weight. A conversation from yesterday, a fear about the future, a quiet voice asking if we're enough. Life gives us moments, but the mind gives those moments meaning. And sometimes we suffer not because life hurts us, but because we kept the wound alive. Welcome back, my fellow strangers, to another episode of Traversing the Strange World. And I'm your host, Isaiah Danbury. And this is another installment of Monday Mornings with Peace. There's an old teaching from Buddhism that has stayed with me for quite some time. It's simple. The Buddha said that when a person experiences pain, it's like being struck by an arrow. The first arrow is unavoidable. Illness, rejection, conflict, loss, embarrassment. Life happens. Nobody escapes the first arrow. But then he said something profound. Most of us don't stop there. We take the bow and we fire a second arrow into ourselves. The second arrow is the story. Why does this happen to me? I'm a failure, and they must not respect me. Everything is falling apart. The event hurts, but the interpretation deepens the wound. The cognitive distortion. What I love about this teaching is that it's simply noticing how the human mind works. Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same event and walk away with completely different levels of suffering. The difference isn't always what happened. The difference is the second arrow. Pain belongs in life, but suffering is often created in the space between an event and our interpretation of it. Cognitive distortions. The subtle ways the mind bends reality without asking our permission. They're not lies exactly, but they're certainly habits of thinking. Automatic interpretations that feel true, even when they aren't. The mind is trying to protect us, but sometimes protection becomes distortion. Sometimes something small happens, and the mind immediately predicts disaster. The first arrow was the moment. The second arrow is imagining a future that hasn't happened yet. And the mind fills in the silence with judgment. They're upset with me. I did something wrong. We suffer from conversations that never actually occurred. A room feels tense, friend withdraws, someone is having a bad day, and without realizing it, we make ourselves the center of the cause. The mind says, this must be about me. But most of life isn't personal. People are fighting battles we cannot see. The mind loves extremes, success or failure, good or bad, worthy or worthless. If the workout wasn't perfect, it doesn't count. If the relationship struggles, it must be doomed. The second arrow turns complexity into absolutes. We assume that because we feel something, it must be true. I feel anxious, therefore something must be wrong. I feel insecure, therefore I must be inadequate. But emotions are signals, not verdicts. Notice something important. None of these distortions are chosen consciously. They happen automatically. The second arrow is often fired before we even realize we picked up the bow. The mind is a storyteller, and suffering often begins when we mistake the story for reality. The goal isn't to stop thinking. The goal is to notice what we are thinking Because the moment you see the second arrow, you no longer have to fire it. So the question becomes, if the second arrow is created by the mind, how do we stop shooting ourselves with it? Between what happens and how we interpret what happens, there is a small space. Most of us move through that space unconsciously. The practice is learning to step into it, because many thoughts feel convincing while quietly increasing suffering. Awareness doesn't remove pain, but it prevents unnecessary suffering. You still feel life. You just stop fighting the ghost created by the mind. The Stoics said something thousands of miles away from Buddhist monasteries. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Across many miles, within different cultures, they experience the same human discovery. The mind can either be a companion or an amplifier of pain. There's this concept from Zen Buddhism. They call it the monkey mind, the restless mind, the jumping mind, the mind that swings from branch to branch, never setting still. One moment it's replaying yesterday. The next moment it's rehearsing tomorrow. It compares, it judges, it defends, it explains, worries, and it narrates. The monkey mind isn't broken, it's ancient. It evolved to protect us, to anticipate danger, and to solve problems before they arrive. But in modern life, the same mind that once kept us alive often keeps us restless. The monkey mind is what fires the second arrow. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it believes constant thinking equals safety. Buddhism does not ask us to destroy the monkey, only to stop letting it drive. And there's this beautiful quote from Ellen Watts in regards to this. Muddied water is cleared by leaving it alone. The mind becomes clear the same way, not by force, not by grabbing hold of or arguing or identifying with every thought, but by allowing thoughts to settle on their own. Meditation, awareness, mindfulness, these are not ways of stopping thought. They are ways of watching the monkey grow tired and finally sit beside you. You don't have to win a battle against your mind this week. You only have to notice when the noise begins and return to the present moment. A breath, a step, a single moment experienced without commentary. The first arrow may still arrive. Thoughts will still chatter. The monkey will still move through the trees, but awareness gives you something new. The freedom to watch instead of react. Alright, my fellow strangers, thank you for tuning in to this installment of Monday Mornings with Peace. If you're listening on Spotify, like and save. And if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. Alright, my fellow strangers, until next time, let's keep traversing this strange world. Let's always be introspective. Let's always be inquisitive. Let's remember to be neighborly to folks, because we're just kind of thrown into this life thing. And at the end of the day, we're all just strangers in a strange land. Until next time, peace.